Very good evening. You're watching the 8 o'clock news. I'm Rishika Barua. Let's get you the top headlines we're tracking tonight. High schools and colleges in Karnataka have been shut for 3 days. Protesters were seen hoisting a saffron flag at a college in Shivamogga. There were instances of stone pelting in several parts. The police resorted to tear gas. A girl was heckled by a group wearing saffron shawls. She spoke to NDTV, said for a piece of cloth, they are ruining our education. Prime Minister Modi attacks the Congress party for a second day in Parliament today. He says the Congress can't think beyond dynasty. He blamed the Congress for the Sikh massacre and the Kashmir exodus. In poll-bound Uttar Pradesh, the BJP and the Samajwadi Party released their party manifesto. Both parties have promised free cylinders. The BJP focused on farmers, jobs and love jihad punishment. Meanwhile, Mamata Banerjee and Akhilesh Yadav held a joint press conference in Lucknow. Mamata Banerjee said, if Bengal can, so can Uttar Pradesh. India has expressed strong displeasure over Hyundai Pakistan's Kashmir post. India has said that this social media post is unacceptable. The Ministry of External Affairs issued a statement and said there will be no compromise on India's territorial integrity. Meanwhile, South Korean minister met with S Jaishankar in Delhi today, expressed regret. Gautam Adani has now surpassed Ambani as Asia's richest person. The Bloomberg Billionaires Index shows that Adani is the world's biggest wealth gainer, a $12 billion jump in his personal fortune in just 1 year. New JNU Vice Chancellor has been criticized over old tweets from an unverified handle reportedly belonging to her. She's deleted this Twitter handle, but screenshots have gone viral. And tonight we leave you with the story of the digital beggar with a QR code around his neck using PhonePe, says he's inspired by Prime Minister Modi. Our top story tonight is the protest in Karnataka that has now intensified and spread across several districts. Schools and colleges have now been closed for 3 days. The hearing will continue in the Karnataka High Court tomorrow. In Devengere, there were stones that were pelted by both pro and anti-hijab groups. The police had to resort to tear gas firing. In Bagalkot, there were stones that were pelted by pro-hijab protesters. In Shivamogga, there was stone pelting by anti-hijab protesters. There was also scenes of a saffron flag being hoisted in Shivamogga at a college. But the defining moment was that of a Muslim girl, Muskan. She was heckled by protesters wearing saffron shawls while she was trying to enter her college. She's bravely seen standing her ground. Listen in to what she said.
Somehow some members were from outsiders and also from little 10% from college, but all were the outsiders. Our principal and all the lecturers have supported me. Actually, principal has nothing, he has said nothing. These outsiders have started this. Sir, I am feeling safe with sir because from morning till now, every police, everyone are coming and telling that we are with you. They are just for a piece of cloth, they are ruining our education, sir.
A lone Muslim student wearing the hijab entered the PES college in Mandya district in Karnataka. Unfazed by the massive show of strength by the students clad in saffron, terrorizing her with slogans. She stood her ground before hitting back at the boys with a slogan. And after being escorted by the college staff to her classroom. Hours ahead of the Karnataka High Court hearing on the right to wear a hijab in educational institutions, sporadic hijab versus saffron protests broke out in at least 4 places. Protests intensified and spread to Shivamogga district. Violence broke out inside the government PU college campus in Shivamogga, where a group of saffron-clad anti-hijab group protested. Stones were pelted and a saffron flag was hoisted, following which the district administration banned crowds till Wednesday midnight. In Bagalkot, the crowd pelted stones, injuring 2 police officers and a teacher. To quell the unruly mob, the cops resorted to lathi charge the crowd. In Davangere, both pro and anti-hijab protesters turned violent, following which the police fired tear gas. As protests intensified and spread, Chief Minister Basavaraj S Bommai ordered closure of all high schools and colleges for 3 days.
Asking all the concerned people from outside not to have a provocation statements and not to provoke. That's why we have put our stand in front of the High Court legally, and that will be scrutinized by the judiciary. And let the judiciary come out, then we will abide whatever the court says.
The confrontation that started with just a handful of students clad in saffron versus hijab slowly turned into a massive show of strength.
If the rule has been brought by an upper official, it's obvious that everyone should follow it.
They can't follow the uniform code. We will also start with the orange shawls and all. He has told if we want to attend the classes, we are supposed to remove our hijab. Why have we studied here from past 5 years and they have never told anything? Right now, why are they telling us not to wear it?
While the Karnataka government has ordered closure of all high schools and colleges for the next 3 days, the High Court that is hearing the petitions filed by the students who are fighting for their right to wear hijab inside educational institutions has requested the students' community to maintain peace. The court will resume its hearing on Wednesday. In Udupi, with DM Kumar, Shrija for NDTV.
And well, this case on the hijab row will be heard in the Karnataka High Court tomorrow. Hearing ended this evening and will resume at 2:30 p.m. in court tomorrow. Meanwhile, the High Court has requested students and public to maintain peace. Well, moving on to the other big story we're tracking tonight. For a second day in a row, Prime Minister Modi has continued to attack the Congress party in Parliament. He hit out at the Congress today for being a dynastic party. He also said that Congress is in fact one of those parties that is responsible for massacre of Sikhs and exodus of Kashmiris. Congress MPs staged a walkout. Here's the full story.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi launching a fresh attack in Parliament against the Congress in his motion of thanks for the President's speech. After calling it the leader of the Tukre gang, or what his party also calls urban Naxals, the PM said the Congress can't think beyond its dynasty, going on to hold the party responsible for several things, including, as he put it, burning women in tandoors.
कांग्रेस की कठिनाई ये है, डायनेस्टी के आगे उन्होंने कुछ सोचा ही नहीं। भारत के लोकतंत्र को सबसे बड़ा खतरा परिवारवादी पार्टियों का है, ये मानना पड़ेगा। अगर महात्मा गांधी की इच्छा के अनुसार कांग्रेस न होती तो क्या होता? लोकतंत्र परिवारवाद से मुक्त होता।
In protest, Congress MPs walked out of the Rajya Sabha.
मैंने 3 चीजें कही थी, इन चीजों का जवाब प्रधानमंत्री ने नहीं दिया। If you like abusing the Congress, if you like abusing Jawaharlal Nehru, be my guest.
I shall now put the amendment to vote. Those in favor will please raise their hands and say aye. Those against will please raise their hands and say no.
As the Congress members walked out, the President's address was accepted without any of the 89 amendments sought by the opposition, as the government had more votes. Opposition parties had moved around 89 amendments to the President's address in the Rajya Sabha. Earlier, former Finance Minister and Congress leader P. Chidambaram, who had been singled out by the Prime Minister yesterday, hit back, raising issues of the COVID deaths and the migrants crisis at the start of the pandemic.
There is no data available on the Tukde gang. There is no data available on oxygen shortage deaths. There is no data available on the bodies flowing on the rivers. There is no data available on how many migrants walked back to their homes. This is a no data available government, otherwise NDA government.
With Arvind Gunasekara in New Delhi, Anusya Mathur for NDTV.
But I have some data, sir.
Well, on to the big political focus. The BJP has released its manifesto for Uttar Pradesh today, promising free electricity for irrigation purposes for all farmers, employment to at least one member of each family, and free LPG cylinders for women on the occasion of Holi and Diwali. The Samajwadi Party also released its manifesto and has promised 2 free cylinders for the poor each year. Mamata Banerjee, meanwhile, was seen holding a joint press conference with Akhilesh Yadav. She said, if Bengal can do it, so can Uttar Pradesh. Listen in.
The two big rivals in UP releasing their manifestos full of claims and promises hours before campaigning stopped for voting to 58 seats on Thursday.
कुछ दिन पहले ही समाजवादी पार्टी के अध्यक्ष जी ने हमारे घोषणा पत्र को लहराते हुए कहा था इसमें से कितना पूरा हुआ। मैं आज उत्तर प्रदेश की महान जनता को इसका जवाब जरूर देना चाहूंगा। 2017 के संकल्प पत्र में 212 संकल्प थे, उसमें से 92% संकल्प को आज हम समाप्त करने के बाद फिर से आपके सामने हमारा संकल्प पत्र लेकर आए।
आप उनका संकल्प पत्र उठाइए, आप देखिए कितना पूरा किया उन्होंने। और भारतीय जनता पार्टी को आज जब नया संकल्प पत्र ला रहे थे तो पिछले संकल्प पत्र के लिए कम से कम 2 मिनट मौन रखना चाहिए था।
Both manifestos reflected individual campaigns by the parties. The BJP promised a blanket 10-year jail term under the controversial Love Jihad law enacted by Chief Minister Adityanath. Akhilesh Yadav promised zero tolerance against hate speech and crimes. Both promised free electricity for farmers for irrigation, but no word on how to end the 11,000 crore plus outstanding dues.
बिजली तो फ्री होना चाहिए। कहने 5,000-6,000 महीने में आता है बिजली।
अब तो चुनावी घोषणाएं सभी करेंगे, पहले से तो कोई नहीं करता है।
Another key promise from both parties, jobs. In the last elections, the BJP had promised 70 lakh jobs, and the Chief Minister claims 2 to 3 times that number have been generated. But this claim is met with disbelief in Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh's coaching hub, where this assault by UP cops on students after a railway jobs protest a fortnight ago generated much outrage.
अगर नौकरी देना ही था तो पहले भी दे सकते थे। ये अभी चुनाव आया है तो अभी आप बता रहे हैं कि 5 साल में अगले हम दे देंगे, और जैसा कि कह रहे हैं कि हर परिवार में एक नौकरी देंगे, वो तो संभव ही नहीं है पहली बात तो।
Before the manifesto war, this show of strength at the Samajwadi Party office, with Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee at the side of Akhilesh Yadav, with a simple message. If Bengal can keep the BJP out, so can Uttar Pradesh.
आज बीजेपी हिंदुस्तान के लिए एक खतरा पार्टी बन गया है।
The BJP Sankalp Patra and the Akhilesh Mamata counter came less than 48 hours before the crucial assembly election in UP begins. From the state's western part, the hub of the farmers' agitation, where a good performance will be crucial for both the BJP and Mr. Yadav. In Lucknow, with Saurabh Shukla and camera person Rajesh Gupta, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
Now, after Hyundai, KFC and Pizza Hut tweeted in favour of separatists in Kashmir, the Ministry of External Affairs has issued a statement today to say that this is a matter that concerned India's territorial integrity and there would be no compromise. Meanwhile, South Korea has also regretted the offence caused by the Hyundai Kashmir post as the South Korean counterpart met with S Jaishankar, or rather spoke with S Jaishankar today.
After South Korean auto giant Hyundai, American food chains KFC and Pizza Hut tweeted from Pakistan-based accounts in favour of a Kashmir separate from India. The foreign minister himself intervened, tweeted he had raised the Hyundai issue with his South Korean counterpart. Later, America's top diplomat in Delhi was summoned by the foreign ministry, although the MEA has not confirmed if it was over the tweets by the two US fast food companies. The government's message
India welcomes foreign investments, but foreign companies cannot put out false and misleading comments about India's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Both the social media posts have been deleted after an outrage on social media with hashtag boycott KFC and hashtag boycott Pizza Hut started trending on Twitter, followed by an apology from KFC India, Pizza Hut as well as Hyundai, which is India's second largest car manufacturer. With Vishnu Som, this is Divya Vadwa for NDTV.
And well, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, Gautam Adani is now the world's biggest wealth gainer and Asia's richest man. Gautam Adani has overtaken Mukesh Ambani as Asia's richest person with a $12 billion jump in his personal fortune in just 1 year.
With Adani Wilmar stock market debut at Rs 227 per share, Gautam Adani adds another $3 billion to his net worth and becomes Asia's richest man as per the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. Gautam Adani's net worth touched $88.5 billion, overtaking Mukesh Ambani's at $87.9 billion. With almost a $12 billion jump in personal fortune, Adani is also the world's biggest wealth gainer this year. Some of Adani Group's listed stocks have zoomed over 600% in the past 2 years. Experts believe the group's foray into green energy and infrastructure is set to play a crucial role for India to meet the carbon net zero target by 2070. The Billionaires Index comes at a time when Congress leader Rahul Gandhi has hit out at wealthy industrialists, including the Adanis and Ambanis. After Mr. Gandhi referred to Ambani-Adani as the double COVID variant, Prime Minister Modi hit back and reminded him of earlier Congress governments that were branded as the Tata Birla Sarkar by their own allies. Leaving politics aside, this fresh ranking is also a reminder of how India's rich have doubled their fortunes during the COVID-19 pandemic, while the poor have been ravaged, showcasing the stark inequality that continues to surface. Sakshi Bajaj for NDTV.
Meanwhile, let's get you an update from the markets. Markets today ended in the green. The stock markets finally snapped out of a 3-session losing streak. BSE Sensex rose by 187 points, ending at 57,809. NSE Nifty moved 53 points higher, closing at 17,267. This was, of course, backed by strong buying interest in banking and metal stocks. Well, there's a huge controversy brewing over tweets from, well, purportedly the handle of the newly appointed JNU Vice Chancellor. There's a huge uproar over controversial tweets from an unverified account that are believed to be that of the JNU Vice Chancellor. This is an unverified Twitter handle in the name of the new JNU Vice Chancellor, Dr. Santi Shri. Now, the tweets are in fact controversial because they've called the St. Stephen's and Jamia Millia as communal campuses. These are tweets from an unverified handle, remember, that are also calling JNU students losers. These tweets have now been deleted. In fact, this entire Twitter account has been taken down. She is, of course, yet to clarify on whether or not these tweets indeed were hers. But screenshots of these tweets, meanwhile, have gone viral. Now, she, of course, put out a press release after she was appointed, to which Varun Gandhi has responded to say this press release from the new JNU VC is an exhibition of illiteracy littered with grammatical mistakes. And then he goes on to talk about those mistakes and also how these appointments are a damage to human capital and the youth's future. Now, the other political development, a fresh controversy is all set to erupt over the redrawing of Jammu and Kashmir's electoral map. The regional political parties have rejected this new map, alleging that the boundaries of seats are being redrawn in a way that it helps the BJP achieve its political objectives.
Allotting 6 more assembly seats to BJP-dominated Jammu against just 1 seat in Kashmir, despite Kashmir having a higher population.
A retired Supreme Court judge has released a fresh draft redrawing boundaries of assembly seats, which again political parties claim is to favor the BJP. Take the example of Muslim majority Kishtwar district, which had 2 assembly seats, both Muslim majority. Now, as per the draft proposal, 3 seats have been allotted to the district, 2 of them carved out as Hindu majority seats. Similarly, Muslim majority Doda district had 2 seats, both Muslim majority. Now, 2 out of 3 seats are Hindu majority. The electoral representation of Muslims in Jammu province has drastically come down from 13 Muslim majority assembly seats to just 10 seats. Jammu and Kashmir's mainstream parties allege political bias and say they will reject these proposals.
ये बीजेपी का एजेंडा आगे चलाने के लिए है। इन्होंने कानून की पासदारी, आईन की पासदारी, किसी की पासदारी नहीं की है। जो खासकर यहाँ मेजॉरिटी कम्युनिटी है, चाहे वो राजौरी में है, चाहे वो कश्मीर में है, चाहे वो चिनाब वैली में है, उनको ज्यादा से ज्यादा उनको जो है डिसएम्पावर किया गया है। एक हिसाब से समझ लीजिए डिफ्रेंचाइज किया है।
The second draft report by the Commission has opened a Pandora's box. Regional parties have rejected it. Now, 5 MPs from Jammu and Kashmir, 3 National Cons and 2 BJP members who are associate members of the Commission will respond to the report before 14th of this month. But their recommendations or any objections are not binding on the Commission.
The BJP has rejected the allegations.
इस डिलिमिटेशन के बाद ये लोग चिल्ला रहे हैं एनसी या पीडीपी, इनकी जो जागीर थी वो खत्म हो चुकी है, इनकी परिवारवाद की राजनीति खत्म है।
In the valley, the only seat with a significant Kashmiri Pandit electorate, Habba Kadal in Srinagar, has disappeared, with Pandits divided in different seats of Srinagar.
The dissolution, abolition of Habba Kadal assembly segment, they have disempowered Kashmiri Pandits further, and the remote chance of electing a representative from there has gone forever.
The way boundaries of assembly and parliament seats have been redrawn has baffled many. There are serious discrepancies which will have huge impact on electoral politics in Jammu and Kashmir. In Srinagar, Nazir Masoodi for NDTV.
Well, staying with political news, for perhaps the first time in the country, the Congress and the BJP are a part of the same alliance in Meghalaya after all 5 Congress MLAs in Meghalaya have extended support to the Congrats Sanma's National People's Party, or the NPP coalition in Meghalaya, and the BJP is also a partner of this coalition. All 5 MLAs of the Congress party in Meghalaya met with Chief Minister Conrad Sangma and handed over their support letter to him. He's, of course, led the NPP and the Congress. They were traditional rivals, but both parties have now come closer, interestingly, after 12 Congress MLAs joined the TMC. Listen in to what the CLP leader of the Congress had to say.
Jointly signed, we are together, we will take care of each other. Because at the end of the day, usually there is a big distance between us and those who dictate to us. We will not preempt. We went as a CLP to support the MDA. Leave it at that. The speculations will not reach us anyway. We feel as elected representatives that we have a right to do what we think is best for us, the 5. And that is how we have come to this decision. And we expect the High Command, the party, to listen to us.
And finally, well, we leave you with a very unique story of Raju Patel from Bihar, who's asking people for money using PhonePe with a QR code around his neck. What's more, he says he's inspired by Prime Minister Modi's Digital India campaign.